Okay, welcome to today's video. Now, as we said on day one, we mentioned about the calorie deficit. That's the main way someone is going to lose fat. And we mentioned Dr. Mark Helb, the professor who ate only junk food, but he still lost weight in spite. Now, this is great to obviously illustrate the point that certain foods don't make us fat or lose fat. It's the total amount of that quantity of foods put together. However, maintaining that approach what he did long term is going to have some problems, because when we lose fat or lose weight, the body responds by increasing our hunger, increasing our appetite, increasing our cravings, lowering our fullness signals, so we feel less full. So if we kept eating like that and we didn't really concern ourselves with the type of calories we're eating, at some point we're going to overeat on those foods. Okay, that's a fact that's going to happen. So we're going to probably gain that weight back. So what I want to look at today is what we feel at calorie deficit with the quality of those calories. This doesn't mean you just only have to eat absolutely perfect healthy foods. A really simple rule that works well for the majority of people is the 80-20 rule. And that means the majority of our calories, 80%, let's say, of those calories are coming from whole foods. Okay, I don't think I need to tell you what whole foods are, hopefully, and basically foods without a label. So they're grown, they've flown, they're animals, whatever. Whole foods, they only have one ingredient in them. And then we can leave a small portion of our calories each day, 20%, for foods or drinks that we enjoy. Could be alcohol, could be junk food, whatever way. And this works well because we're eating foods that are going to fill us up, regulate our appetite, and that's going to allow us to fit a small percentage of those foods and drinks we enjoy in moderation. We're not probably going to overeat them as much. This flexible approach to nutrition, flexible means including foods that you enjoy, has been seen to have a better overall outcome regards weight loss and keeping that weight off, versus someone who says, okay, here's my calorie deficit, I'm only going to eat absolutely perfect, I'm going to cut out everything I enjoy. Well, when they lose that weight, they're not going to be able to maintain that, because most people have a life, and so they gain the weight back. So that flexible approach, looking at including the majority of our calories from whole foods or filling foods, that usually works well for the majority of people, that overall rule. As we go then, if you find you're getting too hungry, we can include what's called higher volume foods or more nutrient dense foods. And that's basically foods that contain little calories, but you get a lot of them. So they fill you up. They fill a large majority of your plate. Vegetables are such an easy example. So vegetables that contain a lot of nutrients don't contain a lot of calories, but we get a lot of them for the amount of calories that they contain. For example, picture a plate of vegetables beside a chocolate bar. Okay, obviously the veggies are going to fill us up. Chocolate bar may leave us more hungry. So as we go, we can play around, and I have some rules around hunger that we can touch on. If you're getting hungry, what you want to do is include more of these lower calorie. Include more vegetables. Eat more vegetables with your meals. If you're getting enough protein, make sure the majority of that protein is then coming from whole foods, not just protein bars and powders, because that's not going to fill you up as much. Fruits in there, and whole food carbohydrates, starches, oats, brown rice, sweet potato, pumpkin. These foods are very filling as well. But if we just, for most people, if they just focus on the protein and they get more veggies, that's going to work in regards to curbing hunger. But again, I can include some rules on hunger as well. As we said, we don't necessarily want to say don't eat this food, because that can create bad psychology around eating, and then it just results in us binging on it more. However, in saying that, there may be certain foods that you cannot eat in control that you naturally binge out on. For me, it's Tim Tams. So for these foods, it may be a case of not eating them every day, but instead we find a good alternative. For example, I just might find a different type of chocolate biscuit that doesn't leave me as ravenous after, but I still feel mentally satisfied. But it's a matter of just seeing what works for you in that regard. So maybe avoiding some trigger foods, and a trigger food, as I said, doesn't mean chocolate's a trigger food. It's going to be a specific brand, a specific type of that chocolate. You may play around with having a little bit different type of chocolate, darker, different flavor, different texture, different brand, that you can eat and control and still stay mentally satisfied and on track long term. Okay, that's just to give you a really brief overview of food volume, quality, flexible approach to nutrition, where we're looking at what we fill those foods with. As I said, pointless you getting a structured meal plan from somebody because they don't know the foods you like, the drinks you like, your trigger foods, your binge foods. what it's best to do is to, as we start to track, figure out what's the best way for you to eat, to hit our calories, hit our goals, keep our hunger in check, keep our energy good. And then at the end of the journey, you figured out a way of eating that suits your lifestyle, which then means you can continue that long term and keep that weight off and sustain those results. As always with nutrition, you can get more specific with the individual, and obviously with my coaching I will take that individual and give them more specific recommendations, but this is a good overview for most people. If you have any more specific questions, feel free to just email me at sean@livelongperformance.com, and hopefully I can do my best to answer them. But for now, go back, listen to that again, apply those rules and those overviews of nutrition, and have fun getting results.